the temporal lobe within human brain is in direct control of the actions, is in direct control of the learning skills and the learning abilities that we apply in our day-to-day lives. How to alter those learning abilities? Is it possible to alter the learning abilities, to alter or influence the hormonal changes that is taking place within our temporal lobes? Within the temporal lobes of the human brain? Yes, it is possible. If you observe closely the animals, the instinctive feature, the instinctive reaction of the animal when they share a relationship with one animal and other animal or a different species. For example, if you are sharing a relationship with an animal, suppose you have pushed an animal or you have misbehaved with an animal 1 week ago, you will observe the animal has stored within itself the information that this is what you have done to that animal. It will not forget the incident that has happened with it, but the emotion that is connected, the emotion related with that information will not be visible within that animal, because animal's memory will not store in that emotion. It will only store in the information. So the animal whom you have pushed, the animal will not have any sort of anger for you. The animal will get back to you, cling to you, you can cuddle with that animal. It will not have any feeling of revenge within itself. The animal will only remember that you had pushed that animal. That's it. It will not remember the emotion connected with that action. This is where we human lack. We human slip on to the emotion, miss out on the information. This is exactly why 10 years before you have had a bad fight, you will remember the revenge, you will remember the grudge, you will still feel the anguish within you, the bad feeling within you, but the location, the ambience, how was the infrastructure, the table, the chair, the atmosphere, small details will slip out of your mind, but the emotion connected with that information will remain. We have to understand this. This is where we human lack when it comes to learning and memory ability. Why? Because we are capable of keeping and storing the informations also. Once a human being with its full mind's potential begins to store in information, whatever book you read, he will excel academically. We will excel academically. We will excel professionally in our professional life. Presentation, convincing the client, making a presentation in such a way that convinces the client as well as gives in full information, personality development, image management, everything that a man or a woman wants within himself or herself for growth. That potential you will unleash and unlock within yourself, because we humans have that capability. We human have that within our brains to work on and store in information. Any book that you read academically, math, physics, science, you will excel in every subject and you will not forget any information. But because of the hormonal changes, because of the stress hormones, because in the temporal lobe, we have to understand how it is functioning. Only then we will be able to alter it. Yes, it is possible to alter the hormones within human brains, the neural relationship within human brains. For in order to do that, first we have to understand how it is happening. Within the temporal lobe of a human brain, there is hippocampus and amygdala structures within the brain that is in direct control with learning and memory. Now, two kinds of memory it is controlling. First, declarative memory. Second, spatial memory. What is declarative memory? Declarative memory has to do with pure facts, information, math, science, physics, any news that you have come across. Pure facts, information oriented, book information, verbal information, facts. This has to do with declarative memory. Now, the other coming to spatial memory. What is spatial memory? That has to do with the location, that has to do with the route, any way, any memory associated with cognition. So, the cognitive development and the location and anything that has to do with interpersonal relationship, a relationship one object has with the other object. So, the relationship between one object and the other object and the location. This has to do with the cognition, that is the spatial memory. Declarative memory, spatial memory. We human lack a perfect balance between these two. Once we strike that balance between declarative memory and spatial memory, we humans will become unstoppable. We will be able to store all the information as well as the emotion associated with that information. But what happens is, you spend whole night reading a book, you will remember the next day, third day, fourth day, after a week, you will only remember the emotion added with that event. You will remember you were reading a book. Suppose it was raining, you will remember it was raining. You were not feeling like studying, still you were studying. You will remember how you took that effort to spend that whole night reading that book. You will remember every information associated with that book, focused on information and emotion. You will remember every emotion connected with that action you took place, but you will miss out on the information which you read on the book. You will tend to forget it. Your interest, human interest, clings to emotions and less on information, which is exactly why students, youngsters, even a middle-aged person, when working on a project, his performance levels vary from one person to another. He is not an all expert. He doesn't excel in every subject that he is pursuing, because somewhere the mind loses the interest to remember certain information. Anything which is very spicy, any gossip which is very spicy, you will remember it. Any information which is not that spicy, which doesn't have that gossip, which doesn't have that interest that interests human beings, he will tend to slowly reject that information and tend to forget that information. Subconscious mind still stores the information, but consciously you will not be able to recall that information. This is exactly why it happens. Now, how can you work on it? We can willingly alter the neuronal relationship, because what is memory? Memory is the reactivation of the strength of the relationship between neurons. That is the relationship between one neuron with the other neuron, how it is connecting, how it is interacting, how one neuron is interacting with the other neuron. That relationship produces a reactivation, and that reactivation is memory. That is our memory. So in order to alter it, in order to work with it, we need to feed it positively. We have to load our brain, load our mind with positivity. Law of attraction practices, affirmation practices, positive affirmation practices, guided meditation practices, spiritual practices that reboot and recharge and fill in the mind with positivity. These are the practices that, when we load in our minds, they wash away the unwanted emotions and focuses and rebuilds and prepares the mind, the brain cells, to work towards accumulating knowledge, accumulating information, rather than just clinging to the emotions connected with that information. Because we humans only cling to that emotion, we miss out on information, we lag behind. Once we human begin to accumulate the knowledge, store in information and remember that information, it's important to remember and recall that information as and when it needed. That is how we will excel and we will become unstoppable. It is possible. It is possible to alter the human mind once you consciously decide to work on it. Once you consciously decide to take that effort, you will see the results for yourself. Begin to load your mind with positive activities, with spiritual activities, with practices that is full of positivity, and you will see the kind of changes that is happening within the hormones, that is happening, the way your amygdala hormone is reacting, the way the hippocampus is reacting, the way your neurons are reacting, and the kind of changes that is taking place in the memory production. Yes, you produce the memory. How you produce? We have just discussed the interaction between one neuron and the other neuron. The interaction, the relationship between two neurons. This is what produces a particular kind of memory. It is managing the declarative memory and the spatial memory. Strike a balance, and these meditative practices, spiritual practices, trust me, trust your mind, they will have a positive impact between the relationship of two neurons and the memory that it will produce. That will help you strike a perfect balance between the spatial memory and declarative memory. And it is only these two memories, when you strike a balance, you will begin to excel and accumulate the right kind of knowledge, accumulate the right kind of information that is needed for your brain, that is needed for your body, that is needed for your overall personality, image management, personality development, overall skill management, skill development. It has to do with memory and recalling and learning ability. Just focus on it, make a conscious decision, and you will see the changes that you're experiencing. Because when you consciously decide to follow a particular meditative or law attraction practice, what you're doing is you are preparing your conscious and subconscious mind to do certain activities that you're not very used to do certain activities that is different from your normal inclination of the mind. Normal mind likes to watch social media. Normal human brain, what it takes interest is whatever you have done in the past, the present, the memories, and the information, emotion associated with those activities. But when coming to meditative and spiritual practices, it has nothing to do with any information, nor it has to do with a particular emotion. It has to do with simply one emotion, that is emotion of stillness. So when you're giving your mind that stillness, when you're giving your mind that rest what it needs, then your mind is rebooting and it is preparing itself full-fledgedly. It is rebuilding the information taking capacity, the cognitive, the learning ability of your mind, and then the results that you will see, those results will influence your personality, your overall thinking, your viewpoint, your outlook towards the world, the way you tackle situations, the way you take in information, the way you handle situations, the way you react to different situations, the way you are performing in your day-to-day life, may it be your workplace, may it be your house, may it be your family, may it be your social circle. You will see progress in every action that you make, the changes that you're experiencing. Bread 41 days of life-changing course, life-changing experience, no dependency, what the slavery bred.